Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from LexisNexis and TOLLEY'S. It's this book here, we'll have a look at it in a minute. It's called TOLLEY'S Tax Guide 2014 to 15. We've reviewed this book before. It's excellent for what you need to know about taxation. And obviously it's done on an annual basis, which is very helpful. It's a hardback. It's got some interesting commentaries on it. It's been written by a number of people, Claire Hayes and Ruth Newman, and the consultant editor is Andrew Hubbard. It's given a subtitle, Clear, Concise Guidance on All Aspects of UK Taxation, which is down there, you can see that. There's the spine and there's the back bit of it with the TOLLEY'S imprint, and you can see you've got a nice little dust jacket there. You've also got stuff at the back which tells you about the authors, and as I've indicated from the back, you can see there's quite a lot of information about the contents. We're looking at the basics. The pages are quite flimsy, so do be a little bit careful. You can see there's actually it's nearly 1,000 pages, and you can see there's a very detailed index at the back. But as I say, the pages are a little bit flimsy, so you've got to be a little bit careful with what you're doing. You do have, of course, very useful paragraph numbering throughout. You can probably see a little bit of that there, and you've got a useful set of examples for the sort of problems you might have. This is actually dealing with inheritance tax and making a will and so forth, but it gives you some examples. What you've got with each chapter heading, if I can just show you, it's slightly different structure from some books, but what you've got is you've got the heading, then you've actually got the individual index of what's actually in the chapter, and then sort of references, so you can find the information you're looking for quite quickly. That's on company losses. Let's go to the front, and you can see again the actual tax guide there. The pages, I say, are quite thin. They're nice and tough, but they are quite wafer thin, so you've got to be a little bit careful with them. There's a very useful statement about the book from LexisNexis itself, probably written by the authors, but I don't know. This is the 33rd edition anyway, to cover, it's the TOLLEY annuals that they have. Then you have the contents, the outline of the UK tax system, starting off, then looking at employment, looking at the various issues, pensions, land and building, tax and the families and so forth, choosing investments, and then a miscellaneous thing. Very useful abbreviations, which I think everybody will find of some help. And again, it's set out in a pretty easy way to read. It's not as difficult as the orange and yellow books, which are obviously very much for the specialist. There's more abbreviations, and then you've got here table of rates and allowances, again straight into the hard factual information, and then from that main tax changes, again very useful for this year again. Then you start off with the index itself, with part one, the introduction, and then it runs through from that into all the areas that they're covering. As I say, you have the paragraph numbering at the sides. You don't really have there's no footnotes as such throughout the book at all, but you do have useful examples about how the legislation itself and the tax system actually works. And this has proved to be very popular as a book with a lot of readers, because it's not just professionals who are interested in this. I think anybody could find this of some help, because it is really confusing how the tax system operates. And I can say that as a much older person now, because I'm getting old and I'm finding it difficult, and the day will come where I'll just say, well, I've given up. I cannot handle the huge amount of information that's coming out, because it's just too complicated. That's when you call the guys in to help you. Haven't quite got that far yet, because I'm still advising people occasionally on it, but it's still, even for me, it's an area which has become, in my view, far too complex. We would like a bit of simplicity, but I don't see much change. Parliament doesn't appear to want to do that. Now, my wife and I have written a book review on this subject. Elizabeth came up with the original draft and had some changes, and we discussed it. We gave it the title, The Only Book of Its Kind to Provide Objective, Unbiased Guidance Across the Full Range of UK Taxes, now available in the new 33rd edition, and that's the 2014 to 15. And this is what we say, once again, the beleaguered taxpayer, as well as the tax lawyer, accountant, or advisor, can access an authoritative source of information and guidance on taxation thanks to the admirable efforts of TOLLEY'S, LexisNexis. And this latest edition from LexisNexis of TOLLEY'S Tax Guide 2014 to 15, to give it its main title, serves precisely this purpose. The fact that it is now in a 33rd edition indicates the usefulness and reliability of the volume, therefore its continuing popularity over the years. And as I've said, it is a popular book. If you go and look on Google, you'll find there are a lot of comments about this book, so we are just one of a lot of mainstream reviewers who find it very helpful. As this guide is updated every year to incorporate the changes in law and practice that occur annually, with each chapter revised accordingly, it's important that you purchase each new edition as it comes out to keep yourself up to date. This edition was published shortly after the passing of the Finance Act 2014, it's in July, and includes its provisions plus the 2014 to 15 tax rates and all allowances, and they are right at the beginning if you're looking for them. A very useful feature here, among many others, is the summary of the main tax changes in the past year, and that is good news for us, which allows the time-pressed reader to note the latest developments with a view to identifying tax planning opportunities as well as avoiding potential pitfalls. At the end of the day, you've got to know what you've got to do and how to deal with an ever-increasing amount of information and detail. TOLLEY'S maintain, and there's no opposition to this, that this publication is the only book of its kind to provide objective, unbiased guidance across the full range of UK taxes. In summary, they are corporation tax, income tax, capital gains tax, capital allowances, inheritance tax and administration, plus updated details on VAT and stamp taxes. It's written in plain English throughout by acknowledged tax experts, and the guide provides, in our view, any number of real-life examples, which I've shown you in the little boxes, which show in practical terms how forms of taxation actually work. The book commences with an introduction and outline of the UK tax system, followed by sections on employment, trading activities, that's sole trader, partnership or company, land and buildings, tax and the family, and tax advice on investments. The conclusion of the book provides useful commentary on, for example, trusts and estates, charities, the construction industry, and the main anti-avoidance provisions. A word on that. Avoidance is the big thing at the moment. We mentioned it when we reviewed the orange and the yellow tax handbooks. It's very much part of the Chancellor of the Exchequer's remit at the moment to ratchet up things concerning avoidance, so do be aware of what they say in this book. Certainly it's easy to use, no less than 61-page index at the back being the main navigation tool, with references to numbered paragraphs throughout, which I showed you. As quoted in the Times of London, quote, "People with no financial experience can dip into the guide for clear answers to specific problems." You can't be clearer than that, and the Times has hit it on the nail. Let me conclude by saying the book is of major benefit not just to professionals, lawyers, accountants, advisors, so forth, but to the general readership, whether business or personal taxpayer. Anyone who pays taxes or advises on taxation will want to acquire this latest edition. I'll show it to you again briefly. It's a hardback. It's just right. It is quite, there's a lot of pages in it. As I say, nearly 1,000. But you can see even here, just open it in the middle, you can see what it's got. The paragraph, I mean, once you get used, here we go, sole trader losses and partnerships and so forth. You've got the structure there again. I'm a sole trader, so it's useful for me to know about this. But what I think, it's a gem of a book, because what you've got here is everything you need to know, and you can read it and feel that you've actually understood what it is those guys in Parliament have actually foisted on us in the first place. And I make no bones about this. I think the system is far too complicated, but we have to face reality, and after all, we're only here for a short period of time, and then we move on and other people come. But I would like to see a bit more simplicity into the system. I don't see that happening. But I'd like to thank the authors and LexisNexis TOLLEY'S for producing another excellent guide for us for this year. Thanks to all concerned. Bye bye.